Hi everybody, I'm Sarah. I'm a mindset mastery coach and a transformational hypnotherapist, and I am here today. Hopefully the wind isn't too bothersome. I have had some comments. I do apologize. I do have a wind muffler on the way. I didn't expect to be making videos as frequently as I am, so please forgive me for those of you who are sound or hearing impaired, or even visually impaired or have issues, because I know that filming outside isn't ideal for some of you, although I do really prefer it. I am in my element, and I am definitely able to convey what I want to convey just in a really grounding and peaceful way. So that being said, welcome in. Today's video is about the dismissive avoidant and when life events happen and what that can do. And I'm really speaking to those of you who are in a serious or committed relationship with a dismissive avoidant type. And so I would say long-term relationship or marriage, some sort of major commitment, okay, has been solidified. And let's say a life event happens. Let's say there's a death of a parent. Let's say there's an illness. Maybe you're sick. In particular, I'm going to touch on that where you're sick, because typically with a dismissive avoidant, let's say they were the ones to get sick, they're typically prepared. I remember my husband and I moved through, I had, past tense, had chronic illness and chronic fatigue from 3 infected root canals. Now, that's a whole nother video that I can talk about root canals and the dangers of them. I lived it firsthand. I was chronically ill for 20 years, and it turns out that I had an infection that went all the way up into my gums and my sinuses, and I would get sick like 3 times a year for 3 or 4 months, no lie. I was literally always sick, and it would have gone up eventually into my brain, is what my amazing dentist and oral surgeon said. So lo and behold, it was causing a ton of issues. And I went into that relationship very honest and transparent about those issues. It was okay in the beginning until he realized, as life set in and as stressors set in, and then he realized, oh, this is actually a day-to-day experience where she's chronically fatigued and sick. And it took a major toll. I wasn't able to really work. I sort of had taken a hiatus, I had taken a hiatus from my coaching work and my YouTube channel because I was going through a personal inner transformation, and I didn't want to start creating content again or coaching others until I was really grounded and healed to a certain degree myself, so that I really knew the direction that I wanted to go and the direction that I wanted to take my clients. And so I'm in that place now, but I wasn't then. So there were a lot of issues. The dismissive avoidant is very attached to money. So let's say another life situation could be that suddenly there's a loss of money or a loss of a job. I'm just thinking of any of these things that can happen that can really, really put a damper on the relationship for the dismissive avoidant. And then inside their mind, they're sort of falling apart. But because they don't necessarily share their feelings, honor their feelings, understand or process their feelings, they're not necessarily going to know how to explain or express this to you, so you can be left on the other side very confused. That's a theme that you'll see running through my videos. If you're with a dismissive avoidant, you probably have felt or do feel pretty fucking confused. Pardon my language, but it's a very intense feeling for the partner of the dismissive avoidant. You feel like, what is going on? What is going on in your mind? What's going on in your heart? Why can't I just get to you? Why can't I just, I remember saying, I just want to crawl inside of you for a minute so I have an idea of what's actually going on in that brain of yours and that heart of yours and that gut of yours, so I understand what you're actually feeling, because it was so hard for him to express that to me. It must have been so incredibly difficult to be inside of that mind of his. And I want to address the comment before I go further in this video. I want to address the comment. I think I've only seen 1 or 2 of them from different people, and you're absolutely entitled to your opinion. We all are. That's what makes, Earth and humans. But it was basically, and I've seen this on other coaches' accounts too, why are you being so empathetic or sympathetic or compassionate towards the dismissive avoidant or the avoidant in general? First of all, hello, I'm a healing, fearful avoidant. I'm Sarah. I'm your mindset mastery coach and transformational therapist, and I'm dedicating my time and energy to creating this free content for you guys because I feel it's really pertinent for everybody to understand their attachment style. And I want to help people understand what's going on inside of their relationship so that either they can make a choice to save themselves and walk away from that avoidant partner if they're not willing to heal, or maybe if that avoidant partner is willing to heal and self self-reflect, then there is absolutely a chance. At the root and core of this is nervous system dysregulation and dysfunction that started in childhood for all insecure types, whether you're anxiously attached, fearful avoidant, also known as disorganized attachment, or dismissive avoidant. Guys, these are people that we're talking about. This is my soon-to-be ex-husband that we're talking about. So I am not going to bash this group of people. In fact, as a healing fearful avoidant, I oftentimes lean dismissive in my own marriage, okay? So I will not bash anxiously attached, I won't bash securely attached, I won't bash fearful, disorganized attachers, and I will not bash the dismissive avoidant. Even when I had a narcissistic abuse channel, and I no longer use that term, by the way, but even when I didn't bash the narcissist. I was explaining what was going on. I do not believe in bashing a group of people. I also tend to believe that pretty much every label we can slap onto a human being is really unhealed trauma. And I know that that's not necessarily a popular opinion with some people, but it's actually really resonant if you think about it. It's unhealed childhood trauma, guys. And it's generational trauma, okay? That's actually passed down, encoded, embedded in your DNA. So that's a whole nother topic and something I'm very passionate about. But you will not see me doing that on my channel. And if I see that happening in the comments, I will delete you and block you from the channel, because I do not want that kind of energy on this channel. This is my channel and my content, and I get to decide what's on here. Okay, so that being said, let's go back to the dismissive avoidant. So life tends to happen, okay? And I was talking about my personal experience, and I share my personal experiences in the hope that it can help you. Sharing in that vulnerability, because I know someone else has been in a similar space, or many people have been in that space, and I want to help. I want people to understand the pain that they're in and why, so that you can start taking steps that are right for you. And for some of you, that will mean walking away from someone you love. And for some of you, that will mean staying to a certain, you might say, I'll stay and I'm going to give it another 6 months, or I'll stay and I'll give it, I want to see XYZ from you. And then if you don't see that happen, then you get to reevaluate at that time. And that's often what I tell my clients who are still with an avoidant partner. You need to see that they're making progress and changes, even if it's minor. Celebrate those small wins, and then decide if this is the right relationship for you. Because I feel like we can love somebody and still know that we need to walk away from that person, because it's in our best interest. And nobody is going to save you. Your task here on earth is to save yourself, is to protect yourself, right? But also keep your heart open, and that can be very challenging to do. So when I was chronically sick, as time went on, going back to my story, I did not receive a lot of empathy. In fact, I was told I needed to produce. And I share this because I thought that was so cold and harsh and rigid of a way to think, especially a husband speaking to his wife. It's like, I think like if a wife was saying that to the husband, it might be different, because men sort of are known, that masculine energy, they are producers. But as the feminine energy, or me trying to show up as the feminine energy, that's another thing, is it can be very challenging to show up as the feminine energy with a dismissive partner, because oftentimes you don't feel safe inside of that relationship. Yes, there are wounds inside of you that make you not feel safe, but then that person or that relationship is just further contributing to you feeling that way. And so here's what I want to say about that is, that push for me to produce made me sort of want to dig my heels and more and say, you know what, actually, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do anything that you want me to do. But that created this sort of life event or life change, where he was used to living, in a certain, not beyond his means, because dismissive avoidants typically are very mindful of money, very mindful, almost to a fault, to the degree of hey, let loose, don't be so rigid, have a little fun, this is life, you could die tomorrow kind of a thing. But it created a shift and change, and they do not do well with shifts and changes. It's very difficult for a dismissive avoidant to go through the shifts and changes and still feel connected to their partner. They're going to auto-regulate. They're going to need to pull back, go within and try to fix the problem within themselves. The partner is often left feeling confused, perplexed, unsatisfied, or dissatisfied. And especially if you're anxiously attached in any way, or fearful avoidant, you're going to feel unheard, unseen, unloved, etc., etc. But that's what happened, is it just caused this rift, okay? So a life event change can cause a rift inside of a relationship. The death or loss of a job, loss of a parent, loss of a family member, loss of money, loss of funds, that sort of thing, or loss of lifestyle. And there's definitely more life events that happen. But I started thinking about this morning, actually, as I was getting ready, and I thought, I need to do a video on this, so that people understand that for an avoidant type, when there's a huge change, they don't typically reach out for comfort. They reach inside for comfort, or not really for comfort, for avoidance. And that avoidance equates to comfort for them. Because again, that's what they're used to in their childhood. So if you don't quite have an understanding of dismissive avoidance, well, they typically there was a lack or a deficit of contact nutrition. So for instance, the mother may have picked up the baby and then, cradled it a little bit and then set it down and then sort of walked away. The baby's crying, the baby's needs aren't getting met, they're not feeling seen, heard, understood, or loved, or they're not receiving affection, they're not receiving that contact nutrition. Or maybe it was the parent that said, let the baby cry themselves to sleep. And there could have been a lot of love otherwise in the household, but that child learned, I have to self-soothe, I have to auto-regulate. No one else is going to do that for me. So they become hyper independent. They become pretty serious. They can become stoic. I often hear the word stoic. I used to say that to my husband all the time. You are so stoic. The stoicism kills me. I can't read you. I don't understand you. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And I know to a certain degree, a lot of women say they feel that way inside of a relationship with a man. But with a dismissive avoidant, it's like times 200, where you just feel like you can't, there's a wall, and you just feel like you can't penetrate that barrier. There's a barrier, there's a wall, and you want to get in so badly. You want to show that person, I will be the person to love you. I will be the person to show you that love exists. But the truth is, and this is what my husband actually said to me at the end of our marriage, you can't save me. You can't do that for me. I have to do that for myself. I have to fix myself. I have to open my heart. I have to do all these things, which was actually really incredibly emotionally mature of him and responsible of him to do that. Because I was leaning into the anxious state, and I was becoming anxiously attached because he was becoming more avoidant. And by the way, and I've said this in other videos, you will flip-flop. If it's a fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, or anxious, not really anxious and avoidant, but fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, you will flip-flop. If one of you is anxiously attached in the moment, the other will become avoidant, and vice versa. So at the end, at the beginning, I was more avoidant, he was anxiously attached. By the end of that marriage, I was more anxiously attached because I was really afraid of being abandoned, and he was becoming avoidant. Here's the kicker for the avoidant, and I believe I talked about this. If not, I'll talk about it in another video again. When a relationship ends, typically the avoidant's the one to walk away. One of the avoidants, in my case, it was my husband, calling it quits. Over time, sometimes it can take 3 to 6 months, that avoidant person will regret their decision, have remorse, and potentially want to come back. Or you might never even know that they have remorse or regret. You might hear it through the grapevine, you might sense it, or they might kind of come to you asking random things, that don't really need to be necessarily discussed, because they're too afraid to actually come out and say, I need you, I miss you, I want you, I made a mistake. So I wouldn't say to expect your avoidant partner to come back groveling, but they may come back with other excuses or other means or ways of contacting you or getting in touch. But that's, again, a topic for another video. So coming back to the topic at hand, when a life event happens, the dismissive avoidant auto-regulates, they self-soothe, they go within, okay? And this can look like workaholism. This can look like dabbling in hobbies. It can look like tinkering in the garage. It can look like scrolling on their phone. It can look like talking to friends but avoiding you. It can look like addiction, unfortunately. And here's the thing, you don't have to be actively drinking or using to still be an addict. If you haven't addressed, they call it a dry drunk, for instance, just as an example. So if you haven't addressed the reasons why you were drinking in the first place, and you haven't gone to, whether it's AA, whether it's going to therapy, whatever it is, going to a healing group or retreat or whatever it is, if you haven't healed the reasons why, that drove you to that substance, then you're not actually healed, and you will continue acting out in the same manner. You just won't be using the substance, and that's just as dangerous if not more dangerous, because oftentimes people who are addicts who use substances, it can actually calm them. It can actually quell the anger. But once that substance is removed and the emotional triggers are still there, then the anger or the rage comes out. You see a lot more anger and rage with fearful avoidance and dismissive avoidance, but you can definitely see it with a dismissive avoidant as well. I hope this video has shed some light on some things for some of you or all of you. If so, please let me know in the comments below how this video helped. If you have any questions for me, and if I can be of service individually or personally, I do offer individual and personalized coaching and hypnotherapy sessions. We can do one or the other, or we can combine the two, which is very powerful. And it's mindset mastery coaching. It's all about getting to those deeper subconscious parts of you that are actually running the show, okay? That are keeping you attached to this person, keeping you attached to the story or this outcome or this belief or whatever it is that you need to master. Or it can be something entirely different. We can work on body image. We can work on other fears and phobias, irrational fears and anxiety. We can work on sleep. There's many ways that hypnotherapy heals. I'm such a proponent of it. It's changed my life, and I know it can change yours too. Reach out to me. There is an email in the description box below. My website's launching, but it's not quite ready yet. So in the meantime, you can reach out to me below and I will respond, and we can schedule just a 20-minute free discovery call and decide if this is even a good fit. Take very good care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here.